Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. I've got a really interesting company to introduce you tonight. This is a gold mine in Quebec, and the CEO, Pascal Hamelin, is joined us, as well as a banker that's represented them, Pierre-Jean Fournel from Paris, France. Pascal, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Brian.
My pleasure. So tell me, what's the name of the company, please?
The company is Abcourt Mine. The ticker on the TSX is ABI.
And it's a gold mine.
Yeah, it's a gold mine. We're in Quebec. We 100% own the Sleeping Giant mine and mill. The mine and the mill is fully permitted. It's a mine that was on care and maintenance since 2014, but the mill was in operation until August 2022.
And you say care and maintenance. What do you mean by that?
Well, it's in between two phases. Like the previous owner did some mining up until 2013 and went on care and maintenance in 2014. We did some geology work since, and we did a geology model. We did a resource estimate in the fall of 2022, and we just completed the PEA, the preliminary economic assessment. So there's a mine underneath that mill.
And what does the preliminary economic assessment say?
It shows after-tax NPV of 55 million with IR over 30%.
And if for a $55 million NPV, what's your current market cap?
We're at 26.
So a double.
So double. Just with straight economics, you know, like. And the 55 million after-tax NPV is using 1,800 US. Right now, we're over 90. So
there's upside in price as well.
Right from the get-go.
And you're currently in the market raising money privately, is that correct?
That's correct. We initiated a private placement last week, and we're in the middle of it right now.
How much are you trying to raise?
The target is 3 million CAD. It's 5.5 cents common shares with a full warrant, 3 years at 10 cents.
Excellent. And this is a non-brokered private placement?
That's correct.
So if people are interested in it, how do they access it?
Right on our website, there's a press release, and on the press release, it indicates where to reach us.
Excellent. And Pierre-Jean Fournel, you're the banker representing this firm. You've got great experience worldwide with a lot of different industries. Tell me what your perception is of the opportunity.
Well, I love it. And I love it because my first job was in South Africa. I was working for a French bank, the French bank, it was called this way in Johannesburg. And so my first clients, when I was 23 years old, were the big guys in South Africa, extracting golds from mines in the same way as now Pascal is doing with Abcourt. So with my little experience back to these days, I can appreciate how efficient is the mill and the mining and the exco of Pascal. There's also something I love in this financing opportunity. That's the fact that Abcourt has negotiated a good deal about energy costs. Can you develop, Pascal, about the cost of electricity?
Oh, geez. Well, we're in Quebec, so we're on the power grid. So we have access to probably one of the cheapest electricity in the world. In our mine, there's no diesel equipment on the ground. It's all compressed air and electric driven equipment. So we're not impacted by the fuel costs. It's straight electricity. We're on the power grid. We're right on the highway. The mine and the mill is fully permitted. The reason we became the owner of that asset is people thought there was no gold underneath the mill. But I knew the geologists, like I live in the camp. So I live in Val d'Or. I've been here for over 16 years now. I knew a lot of the geologists that were there. They told me the mine wasn't over. So I said, okay. So the Abcourt I tried to, with a different company, I tried to acquire the assets back in 2016. I lost then, but now I joined Abcourt. So now I have the horse. So, we did the first thing I did when I joined Abcourt in April 2022 was to find the geology firm to put the 3D model together and do the mineral resource estimate, which we did in 2022. So now we have resource underneath the mill, so it increased the value of the assets. A mill with no gold is worth, you know, the metal. But when you have gold underneath the mill, it change the parameters. And when you put the economics like the PEA, well, then you're adding another layer of value on top of your assets. So now we're sitting with a $55 million asset that we paid $6 million in 2016.
$6 million is now worth 55. Sounds like a good trade to me. And your market cap is about 25 today.
That's right. And we have other assets in the camp. Like we have over 1 million ounces of resource now between 3 deposits within a trucking distance from the mill. So the other 2 deposits, Discovery and Florida, they would just release the resource estimate this spring. They're excluded from that economic assessment. So there's potential
in excess of the 55.
Yeah, it's going to excess 55 when you add Discovery and Florida to the mineral estimate.
Excellent. Well, we're going to take a break for some messages and be back in just 2 minutes with Pascal Hamelin, the CEO of this company. And the company's name is Abcourt. It's got a gold mine in Quebec. And Pierre-Jean Fournel, who is the investment banker that is representing Pascal in this transaction. We're going to take a break for some messages and be back with Pascal and PJ in just 2 minutes. Stay with us, everybody. Welcome back, everyone, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. As you know, if you've been following my show, I like to profile some interesting companies, and I've got a really interesting one to profile tonight. Mining and oil and gas have been investments that lots of Canadians will make on a regular basis, and a gold mine is pretty spectacular. The chief executive officer of a mine called Abcourt is with us tonight. His name is Pascal Hamelin. He's got really quite an impressive background. For the last 4 years prior to him joining in 2022, Abcourt, he was with Montero Resources. He was the president and CEO. He was the interim CEO. He's the VP operations. Before that, he spent 2 years with Metanor Resources. He was the president and COO, the VP operations. Before that, he was the director of projects for Corporation Alexis. Before that, he was a director general with Century Mining, and before that, he was in management for 16 years with Vail Corporation. So really quite a long background in the mining business in Quebec. And he says that he's living in the camp right now. Are you really seriously for 16 years living in the mining camp?
Well, I live in Val-d'Or. I grew up in Montreal. My family's from up here, so I was here in the summer. When I was a kid, I forgot about it. My dad reminded me later that I told him I wanted to go and work in the mines. And when I told him that I was going to go mining engineering back in 1985, he said, I knew it. So I went to school in mining, graduated in 1990. In 1990, gold was down, nickel was up. So I ended up in Sudbury, Ontario. I worked for Inco at first. I worked at Inco and all the mines in the camp for over 16 years. And then I came back to Val-d'Or, to my roots for gold mining.
Tell everyone, please, where Val-d'Or is.
Val-d'Or is right in the heart of the gold belt, northwest Quebec. It's 500 kilometers northwest of Montreal. I like to say it's a little bit further north than Tremblant.
Well, Tremblant is what?
Everybody knows where Tremblant is, but Tremblant is another 4 hours north.
Tremblant is only about 100 miles north of Montreal, is it not?
Tremblant is 120, 130 kilometers north.
So
So
another
for
4
me,
hours. Okay.
I drive south. I drive south to go skiing.
And so, what, northwest of Montreal, northeast of Sudbury?
Exactly, northeast of Sudbury. It's exactly 500 kilometers northeast of Sudbury. Right now, we're sending the smoke to you guys, but typically we send gold down.
And please tell everyone where the gold belt is. Where does the gold belt run from?
It starts about 40 kilometers east of Val-d'Or. It goes all along across the border to Ontario, Kirkland Lake, Timmins, even further west towards Wawa. And then you got a little bit of a gap, and then you got Red Lake for the next gold district. But the Abitibi Greenstone, it's the majority of the mines is between Timmins and Val-d'Or.
And are there numerous other mines in the Val-d'Or area?
Oh yeah, well, this is Agnico Eagle country here. Agnico Eagle owns 1, 2, 3, 4. Like they got 4 mines. They got many projects in the camp. They're developed, like a lot of the management team from Agnico Eagle come from this camp. So it's pretty big with Agnico. We also have Newmont producers here in the camp. Eldorado Gold, IM Gold, West Dome, those are the producers. The developers, there's us, of course. We have Cisco Mining, we have O3, Wallbridge Mining. Those are people like companies with assets with either a PEA or, development stage. And then you got the exploration company. Well, that's a totally different layer.
And so tell me about the history of this mine. You said that it had been mined and there was a mill on top and it had been closed for a while. So what's the history of the mine?
Yeah, the deposit was discovered in the 80s. The mine and the mill were built in late 87, 88. That's when the mine began producing. The mine was a small mine. It's narrow vein deposit underground, subvertical. It goes down 1.2 kilometers deep.
1.2 kilometers deep.
Yeah, but that's shallow for Quebec. Like Agnico Eagle, their own mine, I believe they're over 3 kilometers. So this is shallow mining still. So for us, we're used to that. It's not
just out of interest, how do you get down that far?
Us, we use an elevator just like the CN Tower, except we go the other way. We go down instead of going up. But the same concept, same principle. So we call that a shaft. So we have a shaft. It's a hole in the ground, vertical, and it goes down 1.2 kilometers. And then every 60 meters, we have horizontal drifts to go towards the deposit. So we access the mining area, and then we it's drill blasts. You break the rock, you bring it to the shaft, and then you hoist it to surface. It helps a lot for the cost structure is the mill is directly beside the shaft. So it's a conveyor belt. You bring the material to the crushing room. The crushing rooms crush it to 3/8 of an inch, and then we bring it to the grinding circuit. We grind it down to 200 mesh, like that's imperial, but in metric 75 microns, and then we separate the gold from the rock, and then we ship the gold to the mint. So the mine was built in the 80s. It was a slow producer, like small producer, until Crombie acquired it in early 1990s. Actually, it was one of the good big producer, like the reliable producer for Crombie for years. Crombie went in South America. They sold their asset to IM Gold in 2005, 2006, around there. IM Gold sold the mine to North American Palladium in 2007. And then after that, not too much money was invested in geology. It was more into squeezing the lemon, I called. You know, if you squeeze the lemon and you don't put the water, if you don't water the tree, guess what? Eventually there won't be any lemon.
Yep.
So you got to water the tree. And for us mining, how do you water the tree is you got to do exploration. You got to continue to advance your geology. And some producers, sometime when the, you know, like 2008, 2009, we all know what happened. You know, we had a recession. So some miners will cut the exploration when they're in difficult time.
Yeah.
So it never recovered. That mine never recovered from it.
So it produced though from the 80s till 2008, 2009?
It produced until 2013.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
and then
2013, the lack of exploration caught on.
Yep.
And the mine went on care and maintenance.
And you bought it in 2016 for $6 million?
That's correct.
And just now you've received a valuation that the deposit itself is worth 55 million NPV.
That's correct. So
out of interest, what kind of discount rate was used to come up with the 55 million NPV?
5% discount, 1,800 US for the gold price, and 75 cents exchange rate.
How many years is the resource there?
With the resource, the PEA shows a 6-year life of mine. But keep in mind, this is a snapshot of the geology model in November 2022. So in 2022, I asked my geologist, okay, like you've been working on this 3D model now for a few months. What's the picture today? How many ounces do we have today? So, they give me the resource estimate. Now we got a life of mine with over 180,000 ounces in the life of mine. Some of it is inferred, some of it is indicated. So to make reserve, you got to do some infill drilling to convert some of the inferred ounces into indicated. So that's the next phase we're going to be tackling.
And this 55 million NPV, is it a gross number, or is it netted for all of the cost of bringing it to the surface and putting it through the mill?
That's the net value. The free cash flow is like, if I recall, it's like over 300 million.
300 million over the 8 years, NPV down to 55 million.
Yeah.
Well, I think Pascal, I think the output for the 6 years is 400 million Canadian dollars. So it's 300 million US, basically.
Sounds pretty good. And Pierre Jean, you're the banker. You, I know, have taken a look at mines, biotech companies, pharmaceutical companies, real estate companies, etc., around the world. Why would you want to take a look at this and try to take it to the marketplace? What's the attraction?
Well, the attraction is that, well, I can start with a French joke saying that this is a gold mine, which means it's a great investment per se. Now, in this case, on top of what we said, would you agree with me, Pascal, by saying that the PEA first is produced by a truly independent party, correct? Yeah. And second, I'm not saying they tend to be very conservative. And in most of if we were to compare, which I did with some other mines in Canada, I found out that the PEA in 85% of the cases were very conservative when compared to the final results. There is one thing that you did not mention, Pascal, about your company, which is huge. You have how many? You have 12 or 13 other sites in your possession that you could exploit. And as a result, the company could extend its life for another 20 years.
That's correct. Like Brian, what I vaguely mentioned is we have other deposits, the Discovery and Flaudin deposit. They're within trucking distance from the mill. And we got resource estimate done now. Very done by third party. So it's been validated by a third party geology firm. They've just been released this spring. The PA exclude those mineral resource. So there's upside potential by adding these two deposit to the Sleeping Giant life of mine. We just acquired, people say consolidation, but no one execute.
Yep.
We're executing. We acquired a small asset, a small company called Pershimex. They have a very interesting deposit right on surface, high grade. They released a resource estimate in November 2021 and went on notice. $3 million market cap company with a resource estimate. Yeah, it's a beginning. And they had 10,000 meter drilling, like very early stage, but already success on the drilling campaign. So we acquired it for, we acquired it for a song. So we got
this one mine is not all you've got. You got numerous others.
Yeah, exactly. And we also have base metal asset. Abcourt was founded in 79 around a zinc deposit north of Val-d'Or. That zinc deposit is there. It's 3% zinc with lead and silver. It just wait for the right price to emerge and become a mine.
Yeah.
Like a base metal deposit, it takes energy, it takes money. So typically it's gonna be majors that's gonna be mining it. You're gonna be realistic. A 26 million market cap company that tries to build $1 billion mine, good luck, So
Pascal, maybe I could ask you to elevate just for a second. Canada has been known for oil and gas, forestry, mining, resource extraction. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? And is government and are the public marketplaces supporting it enough?
The people, like the local communities, support the mining. You go anywhere north of Muskoka, they all love mining. Sudbury, Timmins, Kirkland Lake, these communities, if it wasn't because of mining,
they wouldn't exist.
Well, they would not be striving as much as, everybody would be in Toronto, Montreal, So the north, what we have is forestry, we have mining, the carrots and tomatoes doesn't grow as well as down south. So we have other resource, we have other element that we can succeed with our, like you look at the First Nations, they see that too. And you wonder, the Aboriginals, they're in pipelines business.
Yep.
Why? Because they know the value.
So we hear a lot about the Ring of Fire here in Toronto in the media. Are we putting in enough government support behind mining, the Ring of Fire, the opportunities that we've got in the north of Quebec and in Ontario?
Well, I cannot speak much for the Ring of Fire. I'm not all in all the details, but in Quebec, what the government does is they put additional incentive for because exploration is like research. It's like research and development.
Yeah.
So you're not sure that you're going to discover. So they put in a tax incentive for the investors to invest into exploration. So there's tax credit associated, and so you got the Canada tax credit for exploration, and Quebec government had an extra layer of tax credit on top of that if you do exploration in Quebec.
And that tax credit goes to you or to the investors?
It depends. It depends. If you raise hard dollars, the tax credit goes to the company. And if you raise flow through equity, you pass the tax credit to the investors.
Right. Yeah. Okay. What about the environment? Some people think that that mining is sort of old industry and damaging to the environment. What do you say to that? And what sustainability policies, if any, do you have?
like you gotta look at a modern mine. Like you don't look at a mine that was in operation in 1935. Like in 1935, your grandfather was probably throwing his mineral oil, like he was changing the oil from his car and throwing it in the sewage.
Yeah.
You know, back then people, you know, it was the culture of that era. You know, now you got miners that are, you know, they're in their 30s, they're in their 40s. They have the same behavior as the citizen in Toronto and Montreal. You know. So we care about the environment. We watch what we got very strict laws. The closure plan, we have bonds in place for the closure plan. So I'll give you an example. I worked at a mine called Lakeshore. It's near the First Nation of Waswanipi. I worked there for a summer. I knew the road, you know, from the highway. I knew the gravel road that led me to the mine. The mine was shut down in 1994. I went there in 2018. I couldn't find the mine. Like it was grown up. Like there were trees. I remember where the sleep camp was, and I wasn't sure. I said, I think the sleep camp was there, but it was a young forest, you know. So, and that's the modern mine. So right. The modern mines, the closure plan, when it's implemented, you go there 20 years after, you won't even know there was a mine there.
What about safety? Are the miners down 1.5 kilometers into the earth safe?
Oh, we got very, like the mining industry is probably one of the safest industry. If you look at it, like if you look at our record shows, it's a lot safer today than it was 100 years ago. Yeah. And if you look at the laws and the safety rules, the internal practice that the company has, not just government imposing laws and rules to the company has their own procedures that are very often beyond what the government rules are. Right. I'll send my kids if my kids wants to go in mining, I'll support them 100%.
What about gold as a commodity? Are you optimistic about the price of gold, or are you indifferent to the price of gold?
Well, when you look at the number on in New York, you know, the debt rolling at the high speed, you know, on the screen, I think that's good for gold. That's all I have to say. I don't print money. I don't, you know,
But you mine for gold. PJ, you're the banker. What do you think? Should people be optimistic about price increases for gold?
Well, there is, Brian, as you probably know, there is very little businesses on earth where your production will always be sold. It's a question of price, but there will always be a buyer. The second thing, everybody knows that it's always presented as an investment case that will protect you from a lot of bad scenarios, like a recession, like a problem, as Pascal mentioned, about the debt raising on all the main countries everywhere and printing money. Gold is a billion. Gold is a reference, and I don't see on the long term gold price to get lower. Bear in mind that the current price, which is $1,937 US per ounce, which was the price this morning, is at the same level as what, Pascal, 15 years ago? So I mean, the current price, which is a little bit more than $1,900 US dollars per ounce, it was this price how long ago? 10 or 15 years ago?
Oh, the gold price been like when I came to Val-d'Or in 2016, gold was at $600.
Oh, you see.
Yes.
Yeah.
600 US in 2007, and now we're at 1,900 US. So if you got ounces of gold in 2007 at 600, you can sell today at 1,900.
300% increase. That's attractive.
That's a pretty good return.
And going forward, you think it's going to continue to be a positive price increase?
Yeah, it's just a matter of time. People eventually will, like right now, everybody's using the US dollars.
Yeah.
The US dollars, their debt, they increase their debt every time, you know. The economy is strong, the US economy is strong, but when the people wants to, like, eventually you're going to have people in the Middle East that will say, you know what, I don't want to be paid in US dollars. I want to be paid in euro or CAD or gold.
Well, I prefer gold over Bitcoin, that's for sure. So Pascal, if people are interested, is there a website they can go to?
Yeah, well, of course, www.abcourt.com. And they can go on the press release of the private placement. They can they see the contact there, and they can subscribe. But of course, you got to be a qualified investors. Not
Right.
everyone can participate in private placement. You got to be a qualified investors. I suggest you check with your broker what the mean is of a accredited investor. But if you qualify, you're welcome.
And there's a investor manual and a presentation on the website?
Of course. The PA, the press release is there. The corporate presentation is there. The assets, the summary of each assets, the technical reports that were released already. The PA, we released the press release. The technical report will be deposited on CDAR within 45 days. So before July 21st, the technical report for the PA will be on the web.
So
as well.
PJ and I come up to Val d'Or. Will you take us a kilometer and a kilometer and a quarter down into the earth?
Anytime.
Fantastic. PJ, would you go with me?
I would love it, but I went to a big mine in the Randfontein, which is the croissant around west of Johannesburg, and I visited a huge mine belonging to Anglo-American, which is probably the first on earth about these businesses. And the mine was 3 kilometers down. And it is so hot when you go down lower than 3,000 meters that they have to use water cooling because air cooling cannot carry the coldness. So there was a huge organization to get water from the top at 5 degrees Celsius, and it went down to the mine at 15-20 in order for the 15,000 employees. There was 15,000 employees in the mine to be able to work because it's so hot. So that's why you probably know what is the main cost of a big mine like the one I described. What is the main cost to exploit this type of mine, according to you?
What is it?
What's the most expensive item on your income statement? It's the energy. The energy was costing to Anglo-American 30% of the costs of the mine.
Really? Fantastic.
Yeah.
And Pascal, you've got a cheap energy source, so that's a big benefit. Well, Pascal, I think this has been a fascinating conversation. I want to thank you for joining us today and telling us a little bit about your mine and about your placement and about the opportunity for people to invest. And I encourage you to reach back out and tell us how it goes. I think it's a great opportunity for people to invest in gold. And not gold directly, but gold via indirectly through ownership of a mine. Remind us, if you could, Pascal, what the website is.
It's abcourt.ca, abcourt.ca or .com. Both works. And you go to the press release late June, 2 weeks ago, and all the details or the private placement is located in that press release.
Pascal Hamelin, PJ Foynel, thank you both for joining us tonight. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Brian, for having us.
We're going to take a break and come back with another interesting company in just 2 minutes. Stay with us, everyone. Thank you, Pascal and PJ.